Genji 2 is an action game which is based on Japanese history. Being based on history, the stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab.
Welcome to the Giant Enemy Crab podcast. We're just getting into it. I'm super stoked.
Oh God,
I'm so excited. Are you ready for this? You don't know nothing about this?
I have no idea what you're trying to talk about. All I know is about someone named Jeff or something named Jeff.
Oh, it's Jeff the Land Shark. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, realistically, I'm Fliz. I'm your co-host today. I'm joined by KylarEmiya, my wonderful other co-host.
Hello.
Unfortunately, Strider can't be with us today. I don't know what he's doing, but it's something else. And we are here to bring you the latest and greatest in gaming news. You like that? Should I keep that? No, we'll just throw that out.
No,
today,
keep it.
I am. Okay, so since you don't know, we're just going to get right into it. There is a person, Lex Friedman. He does a podcast. Actually, I don't know anything about Lex Friedman. I literally heard about him today. He does a podcast. I guess this is episode 493. He is on YouTube, and guess who this episode I watched? This is a 5-hour podcast, a 5-hour interview. Who do you think it's with?
Someone named Jeff. The only Jeff that I know that's involved in video games, Jeff Keighley and Jeff Kaplan, your boy, Tickle Bitties.
It's my boy, Jeff Kaplan. He's fucking back, son.
Way.
He's back. It's a 5-hour interview with Jeff Kaplan. Okay, look. I would highly suggest if you're listening to this, ignore it unless you want like a quick breakdown. I would suggest anybody who's a game dev, who's interested in gaming, who has Blizzard experience, who has, any interest, who remembers the days of hey, this is Jeff from the Overwatch team. Anything related to any of that, this is totally, it's like an almost inspirational interview. Like it's I don't know how I feel about Lex Friedman himself. I don't know enough about him. Very what's the word? Monotone. Like he's I don't know anything about him, so I won't say anything. But Jeff is great. I miss Jeff so much. If y'all know, me and Kylar were huge Overwatch fans until everything went sour.
Yeah.
But this isn't really about that. Jeff has come back. He's been kind of AFK from the world for a little bit. Like after he quit Overwatch, nobody knew what happened to him. I even remember when we started this podcast, a few times I like asked the internet, like, what's going on with Jeff? What happened to Jeff? And they just never knew. It would give me like, well, Jeff left Overwatch and yada, yada, yada. There's a ton of great stuff in this podcast. Jeff Cap. So I learned a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll just kind of go through what I remember. The first thing I learned is that Jeff is I think he has a master's in creative writing.
Oh, I didn't know
something
that.
I didn't know. He tried really hard to be a writer and got hundreds of rejection letters, and to the point where he just quit. And then when he quit, he decided, I'm just going to play EverQuest for like a year straight. He logged in like a full year of playtime on EverQuest, right?
Yeah.
The interesting part about that is he became really high up in the guild, and this guild on EverQuest is one of the original, the OG MMORPGs, right? I'm not going to play it because it's too old for me. Like, I guess you had to be there, but his guild, he became higher and higher up in his guild, and the guild leader quit, and it was the best guild on the server that he was in. And over time, he was making he really enjoyed Quake, and I think it was Quake, and he was making Quake maps. And at one point, the ex guild leader messaged Jeff and was like, "Hey, like I heard you made Quake maps. Like, why don't you send me some? I wanted to check them out." And this is like new to him. He was just doing it for fun, right?
Yeah.
He then mails them to him, and then the ex-guild leader, somebody he'd known for years, but you never met people in person on the internet before that, like you just knew him through whatever handle they were using. They invited him. They're like, "Oh, you don't live too far from us. We're in Anaheim. Come down. We'll have lunch and we'll talk and we'll do this and that." And he just went and met like 4 dudes from the guild that he was in, and they just kind of had a good time. And later he finds out that they work for Blizzard, which at this point had not done, they were working on Warcraft 3, I believe. They had done StarCraft. So they're they're putting out quality stuff, but they're not the monster they are today. They tell him, "Hey, maybe you should come and do an interview. We're going to have they literally called him and they're like, "Hey, there's going to be a job opening on the Blizzard website tomorrow. You need to sign up for that." He's like, "Yeah, I guess I could do that." And he found out like through the job opening, they'd included like must have a master's in creative writing. So they basically built this job for him to get him to come work with the homies. He lucked his way in to being like early Blizzard hire. So sometimes that kind of good stuff just happens.
That's crazy. I don't know what it is about Blizzard and like the weird stories that some of their like directors have on how they got hired. Because the game director for World of Warcraft, Ian Hazakostas, do you know his story and how he got hired?
No, tell me.
Because he's a lawyer. That's what he did before he joined Blizzard. He was actually an attorney. I think he was a criminal defense attorney. And he got hired because he played World of Warcraft. And when they released some new boss, I don't exactly know like the exact specifics of it, but there was a boss that was released, some dungeon or raid content, and no one could beat it. And he had done the math of like how this boss worked and the mechanics of it. And apparently he had found out that this boss is mathematically impossible to defeat. Like you can't actually do this. This boss is bugged. And Blizzard said, "Oh, we didn't realize that." And eventually they actually hired him as a game designer, and he became the lead encounter designer for World of Warcraft, and eventually worked his way up to game director of World of Warcraft. So
it's crazy. Yeah, I guess that's just how early Blizzard like worked. Like you just kind of, it was the buddy system. Like it was originally like, maybe I'm using this term incorrectly, but it was like an organic grassroots company that like really just wanted to make great games. He talks about how like they had crunch culture, but it like they wanted to do it back then, Yeah. Speaking of crunch culture, he also mentioned that like nowadays, that's not the thing that it used to be. Like it's not as big in game devs. It's actually really looked down upon. And you can like, if you try to implement crunch culture in a big game company right now, like a news article gets written the next day and everybody's having a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not like it used to be. So the other thing I realized is I didn't know that Jeff had been there from like the early beginnings of World of Warcraft. I didn't know that was like that was one of his, not his baby, but that like he was a big part. He was one of the parents of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a reason he was vice president of Blizzard. Like,
yeah,
it's a big deal. That's why like when he left, I was like, oh yeah, he's VP of Blizzard. He's probably just like retiring. He's good to go. He's just step away from the computer and go live his life. That's what I thought was what it was.
Luckily, he talks about it here. I'll get to why Jeff actually left Blizzard. And then there's also one other big surprise. So I think he was lead quest designer. I want to say that's what they pulled him on for. And the way Jeff talks in this interview, the dude is so humble. He's just such a likable guy. You know, I can't, it makes sense why all those, "Hi, I'm Jeff from the Overwatch team" videos, like they just popped off. I remember the edits where they made him say weird stuff all the time. Man, people loved Jeff. And he went from there. They made WoW was this huge, obviously game changing. It literally changed the landscape of everything we play today. All the live service, literally everything we do now has some part of WoW in it, whether it be the live service, whether it be the expansions on a regular, time frame. It's crazy how big WoW impacted gaming as a whole.
Yeah.
And he says a lot of that was due to people really loving the game. A lot of that is due to what they talked about was the Blizzard polish, which is why, Overwatch and StarCraft, everything just looks and feels nice, regardless of whether you like the game or not. Like, you can tell they're extremely well cared for. He really talked about how like the QA teams are massively important. It's not just like some game tester sitting there. Like, these are people who have like OCD about wanting to do things. He talks about how he was game testing QA for a World of Warcraft. There was a bug within a cinematic, but they couldn't get the bug to pop. So he literally worked. He said it was his longest shift. He worked a 30-hour shift watching people come and go, just watching this cinematic over and over and over again, trying to get the bug to reappear.
Oh my gosh.
They're just everybody was so dedicated. He named a lot of names. I don't have them. I should have wrote them down, but he, like, all his success he attributes to the team and the people he worked around. That's part of why it was like kind of inspirational to listen to it. It was like, it's not just one guy doing a thing. It's everybody coming together. And he talked about how like, it's not about shutting down ideas, and it's not about just ideas, but having visions of how to make that idea work, and how telling people no really isn't the answer. You just, you incorporate ideas, or, you find a way to make people heard. And that's what makes a good culture within gaming. He never touched a single time on what happened with the whole Blizzard scandal thing. I didn't think he would, but that never got touched in the slightest. I'm speaking, of course, of Blizzard going through all the sexual harassment things, which is funny because he mentioned McCree a couple times. He didn't call him, what do they call him? Cassidy. He said, yeah, McCree was one of my favorite designs, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, all right.
He's not part of the company anymore. You can call him whoever he wants.
And from there, they made the incredible WoW and all that. Regardless of how you feel, like, it's just an incredible game. And from there, he actually talked about something everybody was kind of interested in, which was the precursor to Overwatch, which was Project Titan. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember anything about that.
I don't know many details about Project Titan. I know it was what they were working on, eventually scrapped and turned into Overwatch. And I know it was supposed to be, I think, an MMO, but I don't know anything about like any details beyond that.
Yeah. So eventually Project Titan did become Overwatch, but Project Titan was originally, oh my God, I'm spacing it. I'm totally spacing it. What was Project Titan originally? Oh my God. It was was it an MMO?
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be an MMO. Yeah.
Because there's a couple games he talks about. He talks about one that was supposed to be like, but that was after this. I might have to edit this a little bit. God, what was Project Titan? I'm mad. I'm mad now.
I'll let you Google. Go ahead.
I'll let you Google. Okay, I got it. Okay. Project Titan was originally supposed to be an MMO, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason it turned into Overwatch was it was supposed to be like you were spies or secret agents or something by day, or no, by night. But during the day, you would run businesses and you would farm and you would like basically live a life during the day. But at night, it would become like PvP or PvE, which sounds like it was basically a game where you did everything. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as he said that, I was like, what do you sleep? When do you sleep? Like, what do you
sleep?
You can't, yeah, we don't need sleep in the future.
That's not a thing.
But yeah, he said that's what it was. And it just became too much. It cost them $83 million of development. And he knew years before, he's like, he apparently went to his bosses a couple times and was like, yo, this is not going to work. Like, yeah, we're not there. It's you're just losing money. It's not, none of this is going to happen. And so when they canceled Project Titan, they were going to disband the people who'd been working on it. And they kind of did, but they left a small team. And they're like, I'm going to, apparently his higher ups went, look, you're going to come to me, and in 6 weeks, you're going to pitch me 3 games, and you're going to spend 2 weeks on each of them, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. And so he went all in, and the first one they were going to do was like a StarCraft MMO, which I think we've talked about a few times.
That'd be pretty cool.
And he knew from the start, like he threw that idea out there, but he knew it was never going to work. He's like, I guess the game had to be complete within, I want to say 2 or 3 years that he was pitching. Yeah. And so he's like, this will never work, but we got to like do all the research and make it, he told his team, basically, we're going to live this StarCraft MMO for 2 weeks. Then we're going to just shut it off and we're going to move on to the next thing. And so they did that one knowing it wouldn't work. The next one they did was apparently some like space exploration thing. It would all take place on a planet at the end of the galaxy. And the way he described it was it would be like the Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars, where it was just all kinds of races and things. And if you want a DLC, you could expand off of the races and do their home world. But even then, he's like, even just space travel would take up, like trying to figure out space travel would take up like the 2 years.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do it at the time and make it work in a way that people liked. And then he decided, and so for their next one, they were trying to come up with a game that, basically they came up with Overwatch. I'm going to skip past a little bit of that. But apparently that was kind of just like a spark of, I don't know, a spark of fortune. I don't even know what the phrase would be. It was just like an instant of like, well, he was talking to somebody and they were saying, yeah, I want like a class-based game, but I don't want like 50 different classes. I want like 50 different skills and 5 classes and each one. And it became this like, what if we just had one character with a lot of personality that was one class and they could do a bunch of different skills that transformed into like, there's an artist, I wish I remember the name, but basically Overwatch was almost built off of the guy who drew McCree. The original McCree sketch was an old sketch from a Project Titan character they were pitching. And that eventually turned into McCree. I think Tracer was the first character I think Jeff came up with. And during pitching, like it was so rough that he was walking up to pitch the idea to higher ups, and it was originally called like literally monetized shooter on the top of the pitch he was doing. And somebody stopped him and was like, you can't walk in there with the name monetized shooter. That just won't fly. And he's like, oh, well, we're just going to call it Overwatch then. Like it was that simple. There's a little bit of backstory to what Overwatch meant. Apparently it was like a big old you to somebody who hated that title for a previous game. Which is kind of funny. Yes, they were in a pitch meeting for a different game. And this guy was like, he already knew what title he wanted for the game, but they were doing like a democracy vote on what people think. And Overwatch won for that game, but he still went with the other one. And he was always kind of mad about that. So he's like, oh, I'm just going to pitch this as Overwatch. Who would have known it would be the biggest thing for ever? Yeah. He's also a Reinhardt main. I was pretty happy to hear that because that was my boy.
It's kind of interesting hearing about this because I guess like it's been around for so long. It's strange to think that like a hero shooter is so new of a genre then that
right?
Like they called it a monetized shooter, just like they thought about classes and having characters with abilities from classes of an MMO. And it never, the idea of a hero shooter just didn't exist. And I still remember when the game came out, there were 4 roles that you had. There was offense, defense, tank, and support. There wasn't like the idea of a damage, a DPS. That's how new it was at the time. That's how much of a more original idea it actually was. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, he definitely attributed a lot of its success to Team Fortress 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was kind of the closest thing to a hero shooter before then. Now we have all kinds of hero shooters that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
But back then, yeah, nobody had heard of that. Like Overwatch really,
Go ahead.
it was just original in so many ways, you know?
Yeah. It wasn't really a recognized term or genre yet at the time.
No. And he was able to pull, excuse me, he was able to pull a lot of references. Like apparently a big part of it was like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, where he just like really, he harped on like the guns have to feel and sound and look good. It has to feel good like Modern Warfare 2 to shoot a gun. You know, the lighting, he talked about lighting in games and how important that is. He's like, that's kind of what the Blizzard polish is all about. It's not just like, here's a good game that's fun. It's that here's a good game that is near perfect in design. And we just buffed out, like we polished every single edge you could find, you know, and it shows. Like I said, a lot of the Blizzard games are just like really clean.
Yeah.
He spoke about matchmaking, which was kind of interesting. He mentioned that you know, people people bitch about matchmaking.
Yeah.
And he literally said like that's one of the hardest jobs in game development is because you're not. He said the secret is people don't want to play against similar skilled opponents. They just don't. They want to play. The goal is to have them play a game. And this is just what science shows where they feel like they could have lost, but they still won. They want to be just a little bit better than the enemy team or player. And that might be why I was kind of thinking about why, because we talked on a previous episode about why fighting games are so tough to get people into. And it's because it's not like that. You know, you're fighting somebody who's going to whoop your ass. Like rarely do you get a fight that's like, this feels like we're on the same level, but I'm a little bit better. It's always, you know, you're always climbing. And so you're always fighting somebody that is better than you, just strictly.
As soon as you fight someone that knows the matchup and you don't, you're just cooked. Like it doesn't matter how good you are because they're just going to whoop you because they know what to do and you just don't.
Oh yeah.
So
I feel that
combos, you know.
I feel that in Guilty Gear all the time. Like this person, I can tell when somebody has played Potemkin before. Not just they know that, but like they know what I want to do in their heart. Like they know exactly what I'm going to go for right here.
Yeah.
So matchmaking is not as simple as everybody makes it seem. Listening to people talk about Marvel Rivals and matchmaking and stuff, it's just kind of, I mean, I know there's engagement optimized matchmaking, but it's not as strict as people seem to think. And it's got to be difficult when everybody wants to win a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Well, that also explains too why, because they only had like a couple years to make the game after they pitched it, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Why the game didn't come out with ranked when it first launched, because that was a huge reason why people dropped the game initially, because they all went to play it. And it's super fun.
That's why I dropped it.
Yeah, there was no ranked. There was no ranked.
I was like,
play.
what are we doing here? We're just doing this for fun? Like, nah, I'm good.
And well, the answer is like, it's really hard. And we only had 2 years to make this game. So, and we had to make all these, like, remember the cinematic that came out and everything? Like the fact that they did all of that in 2 years is kind of absurd. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lie. Even if you could recycle all the things that they did for Titan, like it being a completely different genre and you still have to do all this other stuff, still make all the animations, do the story, the character design, and all this other things in 2 years is wild. Like that's beyond impressive.
I can't remember if it was exactly 2 years, but it definitely wasn't like a 10-year development thing, you know?
Yeah.
This was, it just worked. Like everything kind of came together magically for this, right? And it, I don't know, the fact that it's stuck around for, even with all these like the Steam review bombs and Overwatch 2 being a mess it was, I mean, it's still everybody has played Overwatch, you know?
Yeah.
So from there, he kind of talked about just like they were riding high on Overwatch. And while and this is all stuff we know at this point, Overwatch League happened and a lot of the financial folks for the company started, like they had billionaires investing in the Overwatch League, which is a big part of why it failed. You couldn't. It's the structure. What they tried to make like NFL money out of Overwatch, and it just wasn't structured for that.
Well, the person that was in charge of it was from I forget exactly what their name is, what they did, but they were from like regular sports, so they tried to organize around that, and they ran into huge problems of like, well, if you got to fly all these players out to these other country or these other states and stuff, and they have to like do this weird home versus away team, and the players are constantly flying and they're always tired, and you have to pay their travel expenses. And there was that huge debacle. The one time they had to fly, a bunch of players had to fly to Hawaii, and Blizzard said, we're not going to cover your travel expenses. And the team was pissed because in order to have a team in the Overwatch League, like you had to pay like millions of dollars to have a team in the Overwatch League. Like
it was just a big mess up.
Yeah. And that's just to get in too. Not even all your expenses, all the players you had to pay. They were required to give all the players insurance as well. Like it was a lot of money to have a team in Overwatch. I'm not surprised it failed.
It was just like the infrastructure wasn't there for it. All these billionaires invested in there, and then when they weren't making their money back, like because all the money they were making was like, what are you gonna do? Sell a couple skins and some jerseys and like the money's just not there.
No, well, eventually it got very polished, but there were issues that people had with the Overwatch League where they really cannibalized any local scenes, really, because there was really just the Owl and then Overwatch Contenders too. And then I think it just the show they were putting on was just so expensive to maintain. Like it just cost so much money to actually do it because they're just flying people around. They have these like really elaborate stages. And I actually bought a jersey. I did buy one of those jerseys.
You should hang on. That might be a collector's item. It is a collector's item at this point.
My boy Jonak. I love Jonak. That was my favorite player. I love the Overwatch League at the time. It was actually it was once they got it going and like it worked right. It felt really nice to watch until GOATs happened, and then you're just watching garbage. It's just two teams slapping each other. Became less fun.
Yeah. I remember turning it. I was never a big watcher, but every time I turned it on, it was just like, what's Widow doing? And I was like, I don't care what Widow's doing. I don't want to see this. I want to watch all the other interesting characters, not the one least interesting characters, even though that's the anchor of every team right now. I just never caught on with it. I've never been like a sports watcher either. I mean, I know them. I watched them, but I never got into it like some people do. Anyway, and so it was at this point where Jeff starts to talk about like why, basically he gets into why he left, right? And for the longest time, nobody knew. I'm sure there was I don't know if there was an NDA. He honestly seems like a nice enough guy that he wouldn't have even said anything, even if there wasn't an NDA. Like, he would have just said, there's too many people implicated in this. I'm not trying to mess up careers. Like,
Can I give like what I thought it was before you tell me?
Real quick, let me
sure.
Hang on to that. During this time, he stated that he really wanted to keep working on the live scene of Overwatch, right? Like it was in its peak, and he was like, this is what he wanted to keep doing. And apparently there were people who on the dev team, maybe not the dev team, but there were people within the Overwatch, I guess dev team, who really didn't like the PvP aspect. They were kind of there for the aesthetics and what Overwatch was, but they wanted like the more PvP thing. And they actually started talking about Overwatch 2 way earlier than I even thought. Like they were trying to do, like in the middle of the Overwatch League, they were talking about Overwatch 2 and how it would be a PvE experience for the people who weren't interested in the PvP. He was really proud of the events they did for the Olympics, like Lucio Ball and like the Halloween PvE event, which I always thought those were awful.
Yeah, but, people really liked them though, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that he said they were a big hit, so they must have been. I thought they were.
People really liked it.
So what did you think happened?
So what I thought it was is the Overwatch 2 thing happening. The way that they marketed it felt like they were trying to turn it into more like of a modern monetized game.
Mm-hmm.
And this was pretty much Jeff, as vice president of Blizzard, doing what he could to make it still a good deal for his player base and also satisfy, Bobby Kotick and the rest of the executives too. Because
Mm-hmm.
the model was just strange. Like, it was just weird, where it was going to be this combination of, like, if you play Overwatch 1, you don't have to buy Overwatch 2, you'll just get it. But if you don't have Overwatch 1, you just had to buy Overwatch 2. You can still play with Overwatch 1 players, and everyone can play together. It just felt very weird. And so it felt like he was like fighting against what executives wanted to happen and what he wanted to happen for the game. And I remember there's a huge contention like before Jeff Kaplan left of people like really not hating him as a person, but just more like what he had been doing to the game, because eventually we had that huge stretch of just Overwatch was abandoned for like a few years. Before
I remember that. Yeah, it felt like dead. Like they weren't updating the maps. They weren't doing anything.
Yeah, it was. And eventually he did end up leaving the company, and Aaron Keller took over. But that's what I thought had happened, is just like the strain between what Jeff Kaplan was trying to do with the game and what Blizzard wanted it to become was just too much. And so he just kind of like stepped back, especially because this was after Tom Chilton had left too, who was also he was the former game director of World of Warcraft, and he was also like a big person at Blizzard too. And a ton of people from Blizzard were starting to leave, as it felt like Activision was taking more of an active role in what Blizzard was doing. So okay, that's what I thought it was.
So you're on the right track. Jeff really wanted to keep doing Overwatch 1 from the sounds of it. And basically money got in the way, especially with the Overwatch League and all the billions invested, maybe not billions, but all the billionaires investing. Everything became a financial thing. Money got tied up into everything. And there was a point where he's fighting to work on Overwatch 1. They're trying to get him to work on Overwatch 2. And there was a day where he gets pulled into the office with the CFO. He didn't mention the CFO's name. I did some digging. It's Dennis Durkin. I'll mention it. And he pulls Jeff in and basically sits Jeff down and says literally, look, Overwatch this year you need to make it they even censored the amount of money. So I have to assume it was like Overwatch was already making millions. So he basically, I assume, said this has to make 500 million, maybe, just a crazy amount of millions of dollars. It has to make this many millions of dollars this coming year or whatever. And if it doesn't make this much money, I'm going to have to fire 1,000 people, 1,000 Blizzard employees, and it's going to be your fault. And he was kind of like he was as shocked as that would be to like have your baby, just have it be this golden thing that just like so beautiful. And then to have some financial dick come in and be like, yeah, well, if you don't make it make more money, you're responsible for these layoffs, for these people's lives. And he went like, he took one listen to that and went, this is not why I started doing games. I don't care. He really doesn't seem like he cares about the money. He really just loves the games. It wasn't just that. It was, the Overwatch 2 stuff going on. It was a bunch of little things, but that meeting that he got pulled into was like the I don't know, ignition point of him just going, I quit. Like, I can't be responsible for that. That's ridiculous. And as we all know, he just disappeared. Nobody heard from Papa Jeff anymore. it was a really weird time for Overwatch. I think Overwatch 2 came out a little later, and it just was a complete mess that wasn't anything people thought that they said it would be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a massive PvP with leveling systems and all kinds of cool stuff, or sorry, PvE. And it just wasn't any of that. It was literally just Overwatch again, except now the teams were 5v5 and not 6v6. I don't know what happened with that exactly. He didn't have any answer for that really, because he left. That's just what they decided to cobble together when they were done. So that's kind of, that was him leaving, and it was nice to finally hear like this is what happened, guys.
So it's pretty much what I thought. I didn't think it would be that blatant though. Like
apparently it was.
That's crazy.
And it's funny. Wow. I tried to dig into Dennis Durkin. I didn't find a whole lot. He just seems like I'm a money guy and I do money stuff.
Yeah.
And this was all a financial decision. CFO is the chief financial officer. So that would be technically he's beholden to the shareholders. You know, he's not there to make games. He's there to make money. So he was just doing his job, and to make a lot of money in the corporate world, you got to be a piece of shit often. That's just how that works.
Yeah.
So after that, Jeff took a break. His wife, I guess, said like, nah, just take a year off. Don't do anything. And he did. He just like, apparently he just decided to do nothing. And he said he was doing that for quite a while. And he really just, aside from needing a break from what he was doing, he specifically said like, I got tired of like seeing my name in Reddit threads and stuff. You know, it's all, he said the online communities and the forums was a huge dichotomy to like going to BlizzCon and seeing all these people who treat him like a rock star, and then go on the forums and there's people bitching about, oh, the game's not balanced properly and this and that. And it's like, that's not real. What's real is all the people who bought BlizzCon tickets that sold out on the very first day they were put up, you know?
Yeah.
So he mentions that he was just taking a break, and then one day he started writing in his little notepad. He just kind of got an idea to like, what if he just started writing a game on his phone, in the notepad. And from there, will you open Steam, please?
Oh God. Okay. I have Steam open.
There's a game called The Legend of California.
Did he just make a game? Wow, it came up fast.
The Legend of California. So he and another guy, one of his good buddies, I wish I could remember his name. I should have wrote it down. I'm a bad podcaster. They decided after all this time, and in secret, they've been working on this new title, The Legend of California. And he started his own developer company called Kitsuyama, which is, I guess, the Japanese art of like putting together things that are broken with gold, or, you know, basically highlighting the cracks and just like not making something perfect, but making the imperfections beautiful themselves was his philosophy in that.
Dude.
And The Legend of California is directly from Steam, an open world action survival shooter set as if California was an island during the Gold Rush era. It is not supposed to be historically accurate. It is going to be mostly PvE with PvP elements. There's going to be, you know, crafting, surviving, base building. A lot of the inspiration for this, he says, came from Rust. So expect it to kind of be like a world with seeded maps that resets every so often. And if you go on Steam, you can request the playtest access and wishlist it. I already did so as soon as I got home. I'm super hyped for this Wild Wild West Rust.
I see that the publisher for this game is Dreamhaven.
Their track record is so strong.
Dude, do you know who Dreamhaven is, right?
That's Wildgate.
That's Wildgate. That's Sunderfolk. That's Mechabellum. That's Linked. It's also the company that was made by Mike Morhaime,
I
the
don't know who that
co-founder
is.
of Blizzard Entertainment.
Oh, so man, I really wish I need to look this up real quick. But it's another coder. Basically, there was a coder that he was really good friends with that he'd always have meetings with, and I guess he quit Blizzard and he called Jeff and was like, "Hey man, I'm quitting. I just want to see how you've been." And he's like, "I'm thinking of starting a new company." And the guy's like, "Oh shoot, my exit interview for Blizzard is at like 1:00. I'll be at your house at 2:00. Let's get going." Like, he's like, "Don't you want to take a break or something?" He's like, "If I took a break, I'd just be working on a game that'll never happen. Like, I'm ready. Let's do this." And they just kind of got going. I'll try to remember the name for the about section. But he said, when he quit Blizzard, he got all kinds of offers from, millionaires, billionaires, Chinese companies. And he basically said, "I'm not doing this for money." And it's the same thing with this game. He's not, he's not trying to, obviously you've never heard of the Legend of California. He's not advertising it. He's like, "I think I'm just going to shadow drop it on Steam and see what happens. You can go wishlist it if you want."
I'm buying this shit. I don't care if it's $100.
I
Give
don't
me a
care
$100
either.
version. I'll work some overtime so I can buy it. I don't care.
It's just such a strong team behind it, and it's literally just professionals who have such a ridiculous track record, and they're not influenced by corporate bullshit. Like, it's his own new studio he made that's not about the money at all. Like, they're making a passion project. Like, I'm so excited for what this could be. The former creator of WoW and Overwatch and the Blizzard, the creator of Blizzard itself are all pitching in to make this game that they're just doing for the love of it. Like when I when I hit y'all up in Discord and was like, "I'm really excited to talk about this thing." Like, this is the hypest shit for me. It was just like such good news to hear.
That's I'm actually so excited. I'm tempering my expectations too, because it sounds like this is a very small team of people. Like, just
It is, but he's
looking at
been
it
working.
too.
Yeah, so he said it's actually supposed to. So they talk about when it's actually supposed to release later this month in an alpha. So you can request access, and then he plans on doing a beta, taking it slow. Just making sure everything is good. We actually talked about this with Highguard, where I was like, they need to like release a game in early. I know some people don't like early access, but like, that's how most games should be done. Like, release it in this form before you spend all this money fully releasing it on something nobody wants to play.
Yeah.
Let it simmer. He got a lot of inspiration from like Red Dead and like I said, Rust. I just feel like this could be like such a powerful thing that I don't even like cowboys, and I want to be a cowboy. And then, like I said, later this month it's supposed to release as a early access. So go and request your Legend of California playtest. That's really all there is. Man, he just seemed like he says epic a lot.
Dang.
Which, like, if you grew up in a certain time frame, like, I guess you're kind of stuck doing that. But
Yeah.
I mean, he just seems like such a nice, humble guy. Like, he's so likable.
I mean, he's always been like that. And I think like everyone knew it too. Even Blizzard knew it. I mean, I've watched that freaking, what was it, like 6 or some hour video during Christmas of just him sitting next to a fireplace and he's just reading a book. It doesn't say anything. And I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then
People called him Papa Jeff for a reason. He was a good guy.
Yeah. And it sucks that he got so much hate, especially when they went quiet to like develop Overwatch 2 and then like, everything after that. People really started like going after him a lot, which was super unfortunate, especially because like I felt it was very undeserved. And the whole reason we stopped playing Overwatch wasn't even because of the game itself. It was because of all the allegations towards Blizzard. And we eventually learned that the entire Overwatch team had nothing to do with it at all anyways. So
Well, it wasn't just that. There was a lot, like you said, like there was not like they weren't updating Overwatch at all. It was just kind of, it wasn't fun to play. And then all the allegations happened, and it was like, okay, I think this is the time.
That was for me. I was still playing it. Even when there was no
Yeah,
updates happening, I was still playing that daily.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what I really had to talk about today. I had to get it out. I was just like simmering all day at work after listening to this 5-hour podcast. Like I need to talk about this with somebody. Like I'm usually not excited for things. I'm excited for this. I know you said you don't want to get your hopes up, but I mean, if you're gonna get your hopes up about something, this has all the trappings of something that might turn out excellent.
Well, like I just want to like temper your expectations to it. Like I'm hoping for just a solid game. It's not a solid game. You know, I'm not expecting Red Dead Redemption. You know, that's like insane. There's no way they're gonna pull that off, or at least not anytime soon. Like that'd be absurd. But if it's just a solid game, let me have it. I'll buy it. I don't care. Honestly, I'm just happy to know he's doing all right. Because like
same, man.
I was worried about my boy Jeff, because it felt really weird how he left. It just felt like it was a bad taste in my mouth, the way he just had to leave Blizzard and Overwatch and everything, especially with at the time everything that was going on with Blizzard 2 and just Activision as a whole. Like I'm glad he got like his 1-year break. And he just did some soul searching. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna make some good games again. And yeah. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you for sharing this with me.
Oh, of course. Just a little tidbits that were also there. He thinks the greatest video game of all time is what's that Zelda game where your weapons break? That one.
Breath of the Wild.
He thinks that is like the pinnacle of gaming.
It is really good.
I've literally never been a huge Zelda fan, but that one I specifically stayed away from simply because I don't like the weapon breaking mechanic, which obviously can't be that bad if everybody loves that game. But
yeah, it's not.
Still, it's a yucky thing. It's gross. He also spoke about AI in video games. He was asked about that, and he's like, "Look, as it stands, it's kind of garbage, and the fact that we're forcing it into gaming is like, it's not there. It's just not. And it's making things actively worse. But maybe in the future, it's hard to not look at that and see like, well, NPCs could be realistic, or, you know, maybe in the future, actually, this was Papa Meat was suggesting, like, what if you had like an AI partner who could play your game with you, and they would just act like the friend, you know, you'd be playing Overwatch and your AI guys next to you. And
so
like,
lonely. That's like playing Dungeons and Dragons by yourself.
Yeah,
it just sounds
funny.
So lonely.
It is, because it was also an episode about AI dating, where these people, I think you're allowed to make fun of people for dating AI. Like if you're in love with ChatGPT, you deserve to be bullied.
No, I think you need to go.
Yes.
You need some help.
God, no.
You need some help. That's not
okay.
It's whether you think it's wrong or right. It's definitely not a sign of a well-minded individual. It's not.
You're
it's
right.
definitely not anyone's first choice. That's for sure.
I guess I'm not allowed to bully anybody. What about bicyclists? Can I bully bicyclists? They make me really
only
mad
if they wear like the
day.
big like full suit and the giant helmet
and the spandex and the yeah, they suck. I hate
don't just
those
go
guys.
after anyone riding a bike.
I'm going in the street with a bat. These kids are getting away from my house.
That's a bad idea.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments for us, like I said, I can't speak on Lex Friedman himself. He was actually he asked the right questions. He's a great host for this interview. Obviously, if you could make a 5-hour interview go, like you must be doing something right. So yeah, go check out the actual thing. Listen to it in double speed because it's real long. But it was just so cool to like listen to Jeff finally open up. I mean, I don't know if I don't think he's actually done like any long form talks like this since he quit. Like we said, it's just been a mystery.
Yeah, he's been
so
like totally radio silent.
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the about to the actual episode. Highly suggested listen. Like, it's just good content regardless. If you have any attachment to Blizzard or Overwatch or, you know, any history with it, like, check it out. If you have any questions or comments, leave a like or, you know, hit us up at giantenemycrabpod@gmail.com. I know this is going on for a while, but if you only have 1 hour instead of 5, I guess this works. Other than that, I guess we'll catch you with another news episode later this week and talk about some Slay the Spire 2. You got anything else you want to add, or are you good? We just happy?
I think
just
we're
happy,
good.
boys?
Yeah.
All right. We'll catch you later. Bye.
Goodbye.